Pirate Nation on X says Skull and Bones industry veteran believes GTA 6 will be the first quint AAA game, which at this point, I feel like they're like just making a joke out of this. They can't be serious, right? MR3D Dev says, what's with people adding A's? This doesn't mean anything. Celestial Fleet. Ah, shit. Here we go again. And I want to remind everyone, in case you forgot, because it was just a little while ago. This comes to us from That Park Place last year. Ubisoft allegedly spent between 650 and 850 million on its quote-unquote quadruple A game, Skull and Bones. All right? So they set the standard for what I guess all these A's are supposed to mean. I guess a single A would be a single person at an indie studio. Double A would be a group of people higher up at an indie studio with access to more advanced features. Triple A is like the Nintendos, Microsofts, and Sony's. Quadruple A, apparently that's Ubisoft and Skull and Bones. And quintuple A would be Grand Theft Auto 6, according to this industry veteran. And this story I found on Eurogamer. Watch out, Skull and Bones. Industry veteran believes GTA 6 will be the first quintuple A game. A grand prediction. Devolver Digital co-founder Nigel Lowry believes that Grand Theft Auto 6 could potentially be the first quintuple, there we go, A game. Which, what the hell does that even mean, by the way? They're just making up stuff now. Lowry spoke to IGN on the topic of video game delays in the wake of the massive releases of GTA 6 and Hollow Knight Silksong. Yet, even as games shifted release due to Silksong, Lowry stated GTA 6 will be an industry-shaking event on a bigger scale. I don't necessarily agree with this, by the way. Like, I think it will be a massive launch, probably the biggest launch in gaming history. But people don't just pick up a game and play that one game forever. I feel like this is where a lot of industry professionals and veterans look at a situation and they're like, oh, people buy this game, everyone's just going to play it, and they're going to go online, they're going to play Grand Theft Auto 6 online, and it's just going to be the only game they ever play again. And I would argue, no, quite the opposite. The only thing that's going to be different is this game's going to come out, everyone's going to buy it, everyone's going to play it, and then everyone's going to move on to other games. The only people that are going to continue on with the Grand Theft Auto online service and playing it forever and ever and ever are the same damn people that are doing the Grand Theft Auto 5 one right now. Like, they might get some new people, but the Grand Theft Auto 5 people might drop off or stick with GTA 5. So it doesn't shake up the rest of the industry. Everyone else that played the game is going to also want to play other games in addition to Grand Theft Auto 6. I think of this from my perspective as a gamer buying the game and being like, yes, I can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6. I really want to play that game. I don't want to just play Grand Theft Auto 6 the rest of my life. It is a game in the grand scheme. He says, there are AAA games, then there's quadruple A games. And I'd argue that Grand Theft Auto is potentially a quint AAA game, which I would cast doubt on what the hell a quadruple A game is, because I don't think that's even a thing, but it's just bigger than anything else, both in the scope and the scale of the game, and the kind of cultural impact that it has and the attention it demands. Now, it has been reported that Grand Theft Auto 6 costs Take-Two Interactive somewhere between $1 and $2 billion, potentially on the higher end. Adam Lieb, CEO of video game marketing platform GameSite, echoed similar sentiments in a piece noting, I would say that GTA for the last year and a half has been a part of almost every conversation around launch dates I have heard. Right. In the game industry, games don't want to launch. In the game industry, games don't want to launch on the same day or week or potentially within 2 weeks of it. Understandable for one of the biggest cultural phenomenons in gaming history. I get it. But outside of that window, people are going to still buy other games. That's how this works. Lowry's correct, of course. GTA 6 is positioned to be a truly monumental release, one that threatens to overshadow not just other games coming out in 2026, but prior releases throughout the history of the industry. The term quintuple A is apt to describe such a monster, though given gaming's official first quadruple A game, Skull and Bones, was truly a game like no other, which what? GTA 6 has a big task ahead of it. I want to see what this is linking to. A game like no other. What do they say in this? Skull and Bones review. Entertaining combat can't save a lifeless pirate adventure. Afraid not. For nearly $1 billion that Ubisoft put into it, and it wasn't even worth playing. Wow, that certainly says something. This is the original article over on IGN. Why Hollow Knight Silksong is this year's GTA 6, which I would probably agree with that, by the way. And whether a juggernaut stomping on your release date really matters. You can't A/B test reality. The announcement of Hollow Knight Silksong's release date as of September 4th, 2025, delivered in a brief trailer 2 weeks ago, was amazing. Celebratory news for Silksong fans who've been waiting for such news for over 6 years, which, by the way, I know I haven't really spoken about this very much. I can't believe Team Cherry was able to keep that a secret for the announcement. For such a massive game, they must have been so excited to announce the date leading up to it, and then to launch it 2 weeks later after announcing it without anyone knowing, or even rumors or whispers, is impressive. But it was a far less celebratory day for the developers around the 10 other video games with existing marketing plans to launch right around that same time. In the ensuing weeks, the list of games that have moved their release dates for Silksong has only grown longer as developers reconfigure marketing plans and find new dates that work. As of this piece's publication, that list includes Demon School, Aeterna Lucis, Little Witch in the Woods, Clover Pit, Mega Bonk, which none of these games I've ever heard of, Baby Steps, which the only time I ever heard of that was, I think it opened Sony State of Play, and it looked really weird, and I didn't even know it was coming out. Feyland, Starbirds, and Moros Protocol. None of these games I even heard about, cared about, or would have purchased. So doesn't change any of my plans. I think oftentimes with stuff like this, if you're a bigger indie studio with investors and stuff like that, you're looking for a reason to get ahead of the failure and being like, oh, this is why our game failed. Bro, I didn't even know what your game even was. What are you talking about? That's why it failed. Even Stomp on the Sword of Miracles, an indie game with no release date plans anywhere in sight, elected to delay its Kickstarter launch and demo release due to Silksong. Okay, fair. But is it actually the right decision to move a smaller game out of the way for a bigger one? What if your small game is so different from the big game that you could stand to set up a Barbenheimer situation? What if GTA 6 stealth launches tomorrow? If GTA 6 stealth launched tomorrow, which I obviously it's not going to do that, but that is a fascinating question. What it would do to disrupt the entire game industry? Like, obviously, it would make a difference, but I don't know how much of a difference. I don't think it would be as big as people think it would be. I still feel like people would buy other games that they have planned to purchase. Maybe not at the same time, but eventually. Both GTA and Silksong have prompted plenty of discussion this year about what devs can and should do when their game suddenly shares a release date with a juggernaut. So I asked a couple of experts about the thought process behind setting and moving release dates, and what they think the right choice is when GTA 6, Silksong, or another marketing monster drops into your launch window unexpectedly. Why delay? Just deciding on a video game's release date in the first place can be one heck of a puzzle, I'm told. The game has to be ready, for starters. It has to be able to make it through complex platform certifications. You have to make sure publisher of multiple games. None of the games are stepping on other toes. It is a shit show. It's a complete clusterfuck to get a game to even launch on a day in the myriad of sea of games coming out seemingly every hour these days. But I would also argue, and this is why I said before multiple times, this speaks to the bloat of the game industry. If you are constantly stepping on toes for game launches and big game launches on top of other big game launches, there's got to be a wall people hit where it's like, I can't keep up with all these games. There's a critical mass that gets reached. And at some point, people will just go back to their backlog instead of continuing buying all of these games. So you can blame it on, oh, GTA 6 is such a big game, or Silksong, such a big game, or XYZ title is such a big game. I mean, you start naming all these games, and it's like, bro, at some point, your game has to be that, or you're out. Welcome to the industry. So all the work put into just finding a date in the first place, moving it entirely date, sounds like a terrible idea, right? Well, Adam Lieb says it often is. Lieb, which I'd agree, by the way. I think if you have a date set, you should probably still aim for that date. I wholeheartedly back that. Lieb is CEO of marketing platform GameSite. A big part of Lieb's job is to work together with developers and publishers to plan marketing around their games. He tells me he's worked on over 1,000 different games in the last 5 years, largely on PC and console. That's a lot of games to work on, which means that Lieb, as part of his job, makes recommendations on when publishers and developers should release their games. And while there are many factors to consider, including competition, Lieb says he doesn't always advise devs to delay if a game appears in the existing launch window. Why? Simply put, delays are expensive. That's also including marketing budgets, advertisements, trailers, magazine ads, if you even have those anymore, online banners that you're purchasing, game launch parties, release parties for the company, everything. Like all this stuff goes into it. And then other things I'm not even thinking about. Lots of money go into just a launch. And many contracts are signed and committed to back out last second is not necessarily a financially lucrative endeavor. If you have an indie platformer, a great time to launch it is probably, I don't know, 2 to 6 weeks after Silksong comes out. You've probably got a brand new audience that's playing the style game. That's a great point, by the way, because it's a huge game, or they haven't played it for a long time, or it's their favorite genre. It doesn't really matter. You got more people playing indie platformers during that time. Silksong probably doesn't have 1,000 hours of content. People are going to play for 20 to 40 hours, something like that. Then they're going to be looking for the next game to play. So if you have a game that is in the same space, you actually do want to be around the launch window, maybe even before. True, but I would not want to be before a 2-week launch. That's not enough time. But afterwards, yeah, I'm with the 4 weeks after. I think that's a great idea. An example, Lee mentions the original Splitgate, which he recalls came out right before a big Halo update and benefited from Halo fans excited about the update and wanting to play something like that right away. Also discussed Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion Remastered Shadow Drop, and its launch extremely close to Clair Obscure's Expedition 33. Both games are RPGs, yet both sold well, perhaps, Lieb suggests, in part because excitement from one fed directly into interest in the other. Now, I'm not going to continue going through this entire article. I just want to give a brief summary and overview as far as what goes into a game launching, and more importantly, the irony of calling a game a quintuple A. And yeah, a lot of people talk about GTA. A lot of people talk about a lot of things. Here's the argument that I would push to this is people play other games as well. And oftentimes people buy a game and they'll buy another game that same day in the same cart, or days after or days before it leading up to it. You can't control what people are going to do. That's the difference with what these marketing people and the budgets that they push and the reality that keeps clashing with them. It feels like a very bloated industry and a lot of people just looking for excuses. I just thought it was funny that they're calling GTA 6 a quintuple A game. I got a good chuckle out of that. What comes next? The sextuplet A game? I wonder what that would look like. Anyways, I'll leave that one there.